Our keynote speaker for this event, Mr. Amit Ray, is founder partner at Media First Consulting. He provides strategic input to various business processes of varied product service industries like publishing, broadcasting, webcasting, technology, and FMCG. He has also been the joint chairman, Technical Committee of Media Research Users Council, where he provided industry leadership to build the world's largest single source research for marketers, publishers, advertising agencies, and media agencies. He specializes in advertising, media planning, strategy, and brand management. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. If you could please join us on stage.
No, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Otherwise also? Okay, fine. I don't need a color. If you can you cut off these lights? Because the background is dark. It will not. This one. Anyway, thank you, Indrani Di. Thank you, SIMC. Thank you for having me here. And thanks, students. I can see all lot of serious faces. God knows what are you expecting. But I must say that confusion is a big business actually. All these things that they said about me, please negate this. I know none of this. I used to do something at one point in time. I don't do anything now. I enjoy my life. But confusion is very interesting, and I earn my living out of confusion because people are confused. So it's a good industry. It's a good place to be. Don't be so sure of yourself. Be confused. So what I'll try and do in next half an hour, I'll try and share my confusion with you, and probably we'll be jointly confused, and then try to find some way out. These are the topics, and I think it is very appropriately done. Maybe out of confusion or out of conscious thing. I must tell you this, that Professor Chatterjee came to my house with Pradyuman in 2011, the year it started, and he was really confused. Amit, have I done something wrong by starting this? So I said, what happened? He said, placement is a problem. So please understand, things which starts with confusion ends with something as big or as good as this thing. So that day we had a long chat with Professor Chatterjee, and whatever little I could do together with him, with Pradyuman's input, we tried. Don't know what are the final thing, but I'm quite sure this initiative that the institute took is now producing good things. I met Pooja. Pooja just stepped out. Pooja is an MICA student, and I used to teach in MICA long time back. And I said when MICA started, we had the same confusion. What to do with them and this, that, etc. So when you are getting into a professional training, thank your stars. Thank you parents, thank you teachers, because someone is trying to guide you through something which is so confusing in real life. Is you won't believe that when supply and demand has so much of imbalance, the confusion multiplies. For every rupee that you're going to be taking a decision, whether as a media owner or a media planner, buyer or a client, you'll see there are so many options. And options obviously will happen as the world fragments further and further, but maybe through this kind of structured learning you'll be much better off taking decisions, because trust me, one thing is true, irrespective of the confusion and all, and I don't know whether you're reading newspapers and other things, that the life of businesses are shortening, successes of businesses are, the odds are becoming lesser and lesser. So while there are billionaires and millionaires and all, but there are a lot of failures also happening. So it needs to be, you need to be very, very thankful that you have that opportunity and make maximum out of it. But that's all, the seriousness is over. So let's build on this. So I think this, if you look at this today's topic, the point, which is more about you, other two about outside. So you see it that way, and I, progress through the day. So I'll start. Do you agree with this? If you agree, please say yes. If you don't agree, don't say no. So the purpose of being here is this, that from learning to earning. Is that right? Wrong? Can I hear some voices, please? Okay, fine. So I've got it right. That today we are in learning mode. Some of them are just about finishing learning, getting interview calls, campus placement and all. So if life is about this, so let's just wear that hat. Forget every other confusion. Then I'm now learning. Why? Because I have to earn. Sorry, it's too crude, but that's a reality. Now, I just want to do a small quiz. What do you want to do with your job life? And I'm going to give you 4 options. Whoever likes the option, please say loudly yes that I like this. Who wants to do job? Hands. Quickly. After you finish learning, who wants to do jobs? Not very many. Okay. Who wants to do business? Wow, wow, good, good. Who wants to just pursue a talent? Be a singer, be a magician, whatever. Be a nai, whatever. So very few. One, few. Okay, okay. And how many of you are actually not sure? Let's see. So I think it is not equal, but there's fair amount of people who are started this course, but not there. Some of you are very sure. But tell me, the ones that you said you want to do business, do you know which business will you do? Is it e-commerce business? Real commerce business? Huh? With the hands which came up on for business, any voice? Which business you want to do? Real business, not e-commerce. Okay, fine. Okay. Second one. This is be honest and answer it. As you got to know that today is a day where such senior people, such serious people, such serious discussions will happen. What did you feel that? How will you feel at the end of the day? I'm again going to give you 4 options. Be honest and raise hands. How many people you felt that, wow, what a day? Okay. I hope someone is keeping score. How many people? ठीक है यार, ठीक ठाक था चले. Okay. How many of you said करना पड़ता है यार, पढ़ रहा हूँ तो. Okay. And how many said yes, time pass yaar? Huh? Okay. See, what I'm trying to say is that not necessarily all answers for same question will be equal. Trust me, that's where confusion, and that's the beauty of life. None of us are equal, in spite of being here. All of you are equal in a sense that you are all doing the same course. Without, I'm not getting into the specification part of it. I've come, but still your mindsets are different. So please recognize that your mind is finally what decides what you want to do in future, not only what you learn. How many people can someone from the audience tell me the 4 in Hindu philosophy, what are the 4 stages of life? Before I go, huh? Brahmacharya, Grahasthashram, Sannyas. So I've just taken a little liberty to twist it to say learn, earn, reflect and deflect. You learn, then you learn to earn. After you earned, then you don't know what to do, so you reflect. Right? And in today's, I saw the names, some of the names that I saw are into reflection mode. They don't need to really kill themselves to be in the race. It's a good thing to be. And then you deflect, then you take sannyas, nothing matters to you. And it's an interesting thought I went through in my mind, that while you are in the learn phase, people like us have reached the reflect phase. Because whatever he said, I have done or not done, etc., it's past. I can only reflect on it. I'm not going to do it again. Right? So that is I think, connect I can create with you, or I'll try to create with you. So I'll use some of the current information, some of the crystal ball gazing, and I'll suggest that the path that you could probably choose. Before I do that, I must bring you through a last 60, 70 years of the world journey. I'll just explain you the chart. If you look at the blue part of the first graph in 1950s, almost 80% of any enterprise wealth. Do you know what is enterprise wealth roughly? Market capitalization, right? That's the enterprise wealth. It's not exactly how much money you have in bank. That's enterprise wealth, right? So if there was 100 rupee enterprise wealth, 80 was based on assets. Your factory, your offices, your machinery. The balance, 18%, came through your patent, your trademark, which is intangibles. But it's not assets, but intangibles. This is patented. You see this trademark TM. Have you noticed some of the TM? So 18% was. 2% was something called goodwill. Goodwill had no financial value. Transport yourself to 2010s. That goodwill 2% has become brand. It's almost 60% of your enterprise wealth. And I must tell you this story, it's a 100-year-old story. Somebody goes to Philip Morris, says, I want to buy the company. Says, okay, X billion, or whatever, $100 billion. They said, okay, I don't want to buy the whole company, just sell me Marlboro. The Philip Morris biggest brand is Marlboro, or one of the biggest brands is Marlboro. That fit be $100 billion. What it means is today brands are deciding the enterprise wealth. That's why everybody is into brand game. The reason why you are here is to, in future, support creation of brand, because brand is what value is all about. And you can see today, and this is a global thing, it may not be true of India, you have Facebook, you have Google, you have Yahoo, they practically have no assets. If the balance sheet has to be converted into rupee tomorrow, earlier when companies used to get sold, they used to value the balance sheet. Today nobody values the balance sheet. The balance sheet value is over. They're all values of customer values, future values. So you have to just understand that you're going to play a intangible game as you progress into future. Now I'll just come to India. Now this is about mindset. When you see this curve, these are graphs, what it shows is, and this is again a projection by some company, saying that this is how advertising business in terms of revenue or value has grown over a period of years. Do you really see some kind of a calm picture? It's a steady still, and if you believe that it will continue to go this way, how many of you believe that this graph is fairly representative of the industry in next 10 years also? If I'm standing at 2026, I'll be showing something similar. How many of you believe that? Seriously? You believe that? Huh? Okay, now let's look at how it has happened. Look at the roller coaster rides. Growth, changes. See 2009, and it was nothing to do with your business. It is to do with the stock market meltdown, the global stock market. What I'm trying to again tell you that please don't take anything that past is equal to future, or past into 2 is equal to future, or past into 2 divided by 3 is equal to future. No. It all depends on how are you going to intervene future, how are you going to come into future. Earlier, a lot of businesses, especially in media or intangible business, used to believe there is a trend. It's like trend, what I call it, a tailwind. Something happens automatically. A plane, when it flies, if there is a tailwind, it flies faster. If there is a headwind, it flies slower. There is no tailwind anymore. Everything is headwind. The reality is, like I said, the fragmentation, the hyper competition is actually will make you think more and more. And trust me, while you need structured learning, your mind has to operate that much faster, or that much harder, or that much deeper. So this is, somebody says, oh, next 10 years also happen, may not happen. As we speak, we are going through some bit of stock market crisis, I would say. I'm quite sure a lot of you must be keeping track of it and think, kya ho raha hai? However, coming back to India, we are in good place. This is a lot of people use this ratio, that what percentage of our GDP is spent on advertising. And it says that US can be 1.2, we can also be 1.2 one day, which is a 0.4. So there's a lot of optimism around. In fact, I have seen a lot of big people, I won't name them, they're all alive and real. Some of them are in Kerala, some of them are in Bombay. So they all say there will be opportunity, bahut hai yaar, don't worry, 0.4 hai, 1.2 ho jayega. But you have to imagine that curve that you have to go through, that is real. When you talk in terms of 10 years, you don't put yourself into that 10 years, that every day you have to live off that 10 years to go through that curve. You need to be mentally stronger that much. Earlier, we used to all believe, and I don't know how many of you have seen how government salaries are structured? Do you know how it is? It says basic salary, PF, DA, this much, this is it. After 3 years, the whole thing will change. There is no surprise, right? So, lot of us in private sector also believe that way. That year on year, there will be a standard 10% increment and 2 promotions. So half promotion. Life will change. Life is already changed. And in fact, I'm lucky to be part of the first recession in '98. Lots of people lost jobs. Lots of downsizing, right sizing. This word came first time. Now I think we are living in a real economy where you are paid, or your commercial worth is decided by what you deliver, what you bring to table. So just don't believe everything that you hear blindly. Put your mind to it. Ask yourself this, right or not. This is again the growth in ad spend year on year. So if you see this, I've just put all the numbers, and in fact, this presentation is on this laptop only, which is yours. So you can take a copy of it, and this data is available. You can Google it, you'll get the data. So again, thing is that uncertainty is not only here; it's everywhere. You can't run away. You can go. The size of the market could differ, but what I'm trying to talk about is uncertainty, confusion. What I started with, that will continue to remain. However, coming back to the reality of business, this is what you'll probably be addressing. Lot of you who will do marketing, advertising, media, will probably be doing with ad spend of this industry, right? If you look at this, this is how the split is. The last count, again, this is given to me by Exchange for Media. This is how it is. Roughly, this has been like this. What is very interesting is that if you look at this two curve, print and television is really, dominant media. They're in-your-face media. They will remain. They'll not disappear. But look at the growth of digital media, which is without the social. It's only display and search. So see, in a 10 years landscape, and you guys are still not inside the industry, and I can tell you, I can see few people who are inside the industry. There's a clear divide in the industry. The traditional agencies know nothing about the digital agency. And everybody grappling with this confusion. Trust me, this is what when I said confusion is good, I can see that. Go to any structured advertising agency, whether it is doing creative or media, they have no clue about digital. So digital agencies are very different. And if you go inside a digital agency, and you'll probably know already, their average age is 22, 23. They're all fresh from colleges. They're starting. They're learning on the job. Their scale is not huge. They're happy. Their margins are good. And recently, Economic Times had done a best place to work study. And one of the companies I personally know is a digital agency called GoZoop.com. They came 68th ahead of McDonald's and Cadbury's. What it tells you that this thing was not really thought through by the large advertising agencies in this country. They're all getting into this space by acquiring other companies. They're buying. They're doing mergers and acquisitions. They don't have it in-house. For example, if I pull back 20 years time where Indranidhi used to work for our largest advertising agency called HTA. HTA had media planning as part of its offer, or part of his curriculum, or part of his organization. Today, digital is not part of any large organization. They're saying, I have a strategic alliance, or I have bought them over. It's a big confusion area. At the same time, a lot of you said, we want to do business. It's a big business opportunity. You don't need huge amount of capital to get into it. What you need is intellect. What you need is a mindset to do this. And it is only going to grow further and further. And people who you are expecting Jio to launch, 4G will only accentuate this. I'll just come to the mobile part of it a little later. So what next? And I think the next is not only web, the mobile will be part of it. There are lots of work happening in the areas of mobile to make it the next wave of advertising rupee, where advertising money will be spent. Today, no one even knows what is the size of mobile advertising market. There is an advertising happening on mobile, and which I'm quite sure you know it more than I do, because you use all smartphones and latest technology. Just think of what mobile has done, and I'm quite sure to a lot of you it is not a surprise, because you use it in this way in any case, right? Surprise is for the traditional businesses which is grappling with it to see that what is the opportunity for it. So if you see future, digital will drive, and digital will also include mobile. Digital will not only be just web. And to support this, I don't know whether you can read this or not. This is a telecom data, which of all the revenue, how much is coming from data, right? Because I think this is not any rocket science to believe that in future, revenue would come through data, not voice. You agree more or less, right? That all of us, you are on data. I think who still believes that voice is more than data? Is there anyone who believes future is voice? No, you believe that voice will be future, or data will be future? No, it is right now. What it's showing in India is about 14%. In 2015, it was projected that it will reach about 32%. So voice will continue to be the dominant player. but its share will keep going down. That means the growth will happen in data, not in voice. You agree with me? Don't say yes if you don't. Tell me. What I'm saying is, voice will not disappear. Voice will still be the majority. Like in television, spends in television will still remain higher than digital, but digital will grow much faster. Is that agree? Okay. So if that is so, if you believe the next wave of digital is mobile and data, then you can chalk your mind that way, chalk your career path that way. So this is what reimagination is a phrase used by lots of great people, so I've just borrowed it. So think digital, but reimagine digital. And reimagine digital in a country of such huge population, what you can do, whether if you want to do a job, pursue a talent, and whether pursue a business. Digital will definitely help you a lot way. Even if you're doing a traditional job, I think knowledge of digital will help you. And just to put it in perspective, this is my theory, so I don't know whether it's right or wrong, and there are a lot of senior people here. If it is correct, if you correct me. When I look at marketing reality, there is a process through the mind travels, or my behavior travels, which I get to know, learn, like, want. And please contradict me if you believe it is not something this, or you want to change it. This is what I believe. Once I have learned, known, liked, and I want it, then I search for information, and I search for opinion. A lot of it is review. I want to know what has Indranidhi reviewed about this book on media planning, so on and so forth. Then I want to experience. Not necessarily everybody does everything, but this is how a mind travels. So whether you are a product or a service, you want to see that, you want to hear it, you want to touch, smell, feel. So your basic sensory senses, you do not want to kill them. Just because you have heard something, you don't want to go, you still are real. You want to touch, feel a product or taste a product before you actually buy it. Again, why? Because there are so many options you have. Compare. In fact, compare is a big business. Today, if you go to see compareit.com, or there are various sites which are only giving you comparison. TripAdvisor will give you comparison of all hotels that you want to go, or something like that. So I'm saying comparison a big business. Why? Because you're not sure that rupee that you're going to put on something, have you compared the entire ecosystem well? Then of course you buy. And in traditional world, a marketing company's responsibility more or less got over. You bought a soap. They were not really bothered about after effect. But today, again, I bring in technology into the focus. Feedback is real. Earlier feedback was only a form. They said a feedback form for bhar denge. Itna hi tha. Abhi this has become real. You can actually don't give a feedback to the company. We're going to write to your friend saying I had a lousy experience about this coffee or this or that. So today feedback is big. So when you're doing business, you need to factor for it. When you're doing a media plan or your marketing plan, you need to factor that in. So you need to go and interact with people. So it can't be that you sit in the office and say, no, I know what the feedbacks are. And share experience. This is double-edged sword. It can be used very effectively. And you can do it. And I just defined what is store. It could be standalone, mall, etc. So I've defined it, what I mean by store, ATL, which is essentially the big media. Below the line is exhibition, out of home events, and digital is web mobile. Now this is my view, that when you're doing all this, digital comes in everything. If there is a natural wind of web growing, mobile likely to grow it faster, data going to make it even faster, and this is how people are going to be taking decisions. At least some of you can make up your mind to say, even if the best agencies come and give us this offer, I will not go, but I'll go and join a digital agency. And you may actually do that. And not because I'm telling you, search, look for it, talk to people, interact with people. I don't know about how you see career. Is this career is equal to you get a good designation and a money? And because right now, honestly speaking, the assurance of good money, I think you realize that when the economy is not sure, I don't think that's linear belief of every year I'll go by 20% is true anymore. So if that is so, you need to have more control on your mind rather than leave everything to the industry or the market to do. So market will do well, I'll also do well. or as opposed to I will do well, so I will do well. There's a slight change in my people. In fact, one thing, advantage of reflection is a lot of people come and share their problems with me. It could be CEO to a trainee. They share their real problem with me, and I realize it's to do with their expectation and reality. There is a huge delta between the two, whether it is in life or is it in place of work or is it in terms of compensation. So I tried putting it in as small as possible about something which is happening outside. Actually, this is a subject which you could speak for one full day. So therefore, to conclude my presentation, I'll say that there are skill is what we had worshipped skill so far. But in last whatever number of years, this confusion or this catharsis that we're living through has told us to also start feeling. So in feeling, I have chanced upon two concepts, which are, thanks to Google Baba, it's all available there. You can go and check it for yourself. Most importantly, this is for you to believe in it. If you see that it making sense, you should do that. Because I don't think skill alone will take you through. If you have a destiny, if you have a destination to go to, it will not good enough to only have skill. The differentiator has to be yourself. So skill is essentially what? Education, that which you already have. You're now having specific education, specific to a set of work that you can do in future. Then you get into work experience, which is again skill enhancement. And while you're collecting or getting work experience, you also get workshop, which is skill enhancement. You say, my personal interpersonal relationship skill needs to be enhanced. So there's a workshop on it. So you enhance your certain skills. Whereas feel is about learn from within. And two things that I have chanced upon, I'll just leave with you the definition. But before that, this is something I chanced on my life. It says, if you can't find a guru, today Symbiosis is your guru. And Symbiosis has many human beings who are interfacing with you, passing their knowledge to you, guiding you in their way. But out in the world, when you cross this boundary, when you go outside the door, outside the gate, you are your own guru. And trust me, this I knew, but I still double checked with Google so that I am not wrong. Because my son usually questions me on everything. Say, no, Google did say that. So I'm very careful now. Whatever I learned from my parents, I double check with Google before I say it to others. Google is a very big issue. So it says, Gu and Ru have two different meanings. Is people who I don't know how many of you follow etymology. In etymology, it means one is darkness destroyer. So you may not find a guru outside. You may have to be your own guru. And today, there are enough material that you can easily find on the net, which will help you discover who you are, discover your traits, discover your strengths, not just skill strengths, but internal strengths. So two such things is my last chart. I'll share with you. And you can read the definition. This is a Wikipedia definition I picked up. I have gone through Daniel Goleman's presentation. You can find him on SlideShare. He's fairly good and he makes sense. So it says the ability to recognize one's own and other people's emotions, to discriminate between different feelings and label them appropriately, and to use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior. And trust me, most of my earning life has spent in decision making. And today, again, when I see lots of people at the level of CEO, managing director, chairman, they are so scared to decide. They can't make decisions. They procrastinate. So they delay it so much that inevitably the decision would be taken one way or the other. People are scared to take decision. I don't know whether I'll be politically incorrect to say all of us expected this country in 2014 is going to be in the hands of a man who will only take decisions. Not a single decision has been taken. Decision making is so difficult. Trust me, unless this is not difficult because of the external circumstances, because you don't know yourself. And when I chanced upon these man's, some of it, I realized that where are people falling short on it. So I'll suggest go through these guys, whatever, SlideShare, etc. This will really be input to you. Another thing I chanced upon it, there are two world views. One, somebody says, look before you leap. Don't judge the book by its cover. Think before you talk. The other guy says, intuition, gut feel, sixth sense. So there are two worlds I realized of decision making. And when I looked at a lot of entrepreneurs, I don't necessarily want to name them, they have taken the path of judgment, gut, intuition, and they're hugely successful. They may not have had the skills. They may not have taken decision based on science, on options, on SWOT analysis. They've taken a decision because, and so I used to think that this is God send you with that. Then I realized I chanced upon this technical term called, who all you know Malcolm Gladwell? Who has ever heard of Malcolm Gladwell? Why? Why did you hear?
Tipping point.
Tipping point, right. So he's written another book called The Blink. Don't need to read the book. Just take this adaptive unconscious, Google it. You'll find lots of body of research on it, and you will see how you relate yourself to it. And trust me, all of you will be able to relate yourself to it. Then you see where is your strength lies. Your strength doesn't lie outside in. I'm not for a moment saying that don't learn, but learning is not good enough. When you want to apply the learning in life to earn something or go somewhere, this too I'm quite sure will help you a lot. And I hope I have made sense to it for today. That's it. Any questions? I'd love to take. Any questions? The presentation is here, so I can share it with you. Yeah, you want to ask something? Please feel free. Okay, fine. Thanks.
Insights. I would like to invite Professor Indrani Sen to please felicitate Mr. Ray.
Everyone, digital businesses across the globe continue to grow, and traditional media is slowly losing its sheen in saturated markets. However, the same does not hold true for India, where traditional media is on an uphill ride in tandem with the digital boom. Media houses multiplying, TV channels and print experimenting with more publications in different languages are just some instances of this phenomenon. While this is the case of traditional media, digital media grows manifold as more Indians get glued to their mobile screens. So what is really causing this change? What are the drivers for this growth? Which sectors will continue to grow in the future? And most importantly, is this the phase for the media industry here to stay? With this forward, we start with our first panel discussion themed Drivers of Growth for Media Businesses. Our moderator for this discussion, Ms. Pooja Valecha, is media faculty at Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, Pune. She was previous assistant general manager at Visium. She specializes in development and implementation of sales and marketing strategies, analysis of programming content, audience profiling, sales and other data, national and international level. Mr. Tanmay Mohanty is managing director at Performix. He specializes in digital marketing, online advertising, business development, and online marketing. Prior to his current profession, he was CEO at Resultrix. An associate publisher at India Today, Mr. Anil Fernandez is an expert in media planning, digital media, and brand management. He was also vice president at INX Media previously. Ms. Atrayi Chakraborty leads the Colgate-Palmolive media business at Red Fuse Communications, India, a dedicated and horizontally integrated division of WPP. Her work is acknowledged at global and local industry forums like FOM, Goa Fest, IAMAI, RMAI, MVs, and also within Colgate and WPP systems. I would now request our guest to please come on stage.
Very good morning, everybody. Amit, thanks a lot for that basic, great introduction. In fact, we couldn't have had a better start to the day with him kind of, bringing us all on the same page with what is happening in the media landscape. We've all been talking about, the theme for today is navigating the future media landscape. But really, what he brought to us was exactly where the media landscape has been and the roller coaster ride that we are now looking for. Another thing that he really talked about was this, interesting thing about confusion, about how confusion is good. And when we, have discussions, we always talk about how, there's this entire chaos in the industry where everybody's trying to figure what's really going to happen. And eventually, if you look at any point in time where a big change is about to come, it's always precursored by a chaos. So if you look at today being, the chaotic way it is, it's obviously, leading us to a tipping point where the media industry is, just looking to a change and a growth. Today, when it's a 1 lakh crore business in India and is growing steadily with digital, of course, at its helm. But having said that, it's not that any of the media is dying or has died out. They may be changing faces, they may be changing their revenue streams and their economic models. Having said that, nothing, in fact, in the history of media ever since, there is no media that has ever died. And we don't see as such, correct me if I'm wrong, we even don't see any media dying. But what we are looking at is changing models and changing paradigms. I think what we will discuss perhaps in this panel is what is it that is leading to these growth, what will drive these, and what is it that then we as students, as the future media managers, could perhaps expect when we step into the industry. Atreyi, I think it'll be a good point to start with you on what do you think are the, the drivers for the growth in the business?
Hello. Yeah. I believe the change that marketing and media industry is going to see in the next 5 years is unprecedented. It's much more than what has happened in the last 50 years. And what is going to drive this change? In my view, there are 5 big things. As was pointed out by Amita, digital is going to be the key which is going to drive change. It's the first point that I would mention, because it is reshaping consumers' purchase journey. And if your consumer's purchase journey is changing, your media and marketing industry is bound to change. The industry is struggling to find the right evaluation metric of a campaign. Advertisers are struggling to find or keep pace with the changing dynamics which is thrown at them. In my view, what is going to drive within digital is going to be largely content and context. The new age marketer is going to be defined as dark. I do not mean D-A-R-K dark. It is D-A-R-C. The digital native, the analytical, reach focused, and content creator. Content creation is going to be the key thing in the media industry, which is the future ahead. What is going to bring method to this madness? It's very easy to say it's content, but there is madness in that. Because it's not about the old 30-second TVC that we are all used to seeing. It's different. I have come up with an acronym called COPCA. It is create content, you have to optimize that content, most importantly, promote that content, followed by it eventually has to convert your audience, and you have to measure it, which is analyze the content. So here, many marketers often forget that promotion is an important component of this entire marketing journey, because we keep saying earned media, which is that social network. If it is good, it's going to get viral. Nothing gets viral automatically. There has to be a strategy to make it viral. So there has to be a promotion budget to drive it. The second big thing in the industry is going to be the policy measures and the infrastructural change that will drive the digitization process. India is going to be more connected and more dynamic. So the When I say infrastructure and policy, it is largely TRI, the 4Gs, the kind of handsets which are going to come into the market. Now, thanks to China, in 1500, 2000 rupees, you have smartphones. And if 4G, the primary focus is not the metros, it's the smaller towns and the rural area. So imagine a smartphone in deep rural having a 4G connection. Won't they be more connected? So rural is going to be more connected, and that will also drive the media and the marketing business. As on date, 1/3 of India is staying in media dark. They are not exposed to print, TV, forget digital, cinema, nothing reaches them. But yes, 60% of those people have a mobile phone. So you can reach out to them. So currently the big marketers are having a two-pronged strategy, one for the top end of the pyramid, the other how to reach out to this media dark rural audience. And mobile, as again the keynote speaker mentioned, is part of digital as well. So that is going to be the third driving factor, which is rural, backed up by policy measures and infrastructure improvement. Fourthly, in India, ADEX is only 4% of India's GDP. Higher end, it is 1.2 of US. We just saw that. And there is huge confidence on the current government. The economic, political stability is there. Consumer confidence is there. So as our GDP progresses, with growing confidence of the consumers, ADEX is bound to grow. And market will be inflationary because demand for media is going to be far ahead of the amount of supply that the media owners can give, which I'm sure he's going to elaborate on it further. Even you will be elaborating on it further, because supply is limited, demand is going to be high, market will be inflationary, and India will continue to be a growing and inflationary market in the next 5 years for sure. And last but not the least, the two sectors which I see will be driving media investment is going to be e-commerce and the telecom industry. When I say telecom, I mean the handset providers as well as the service providers. So these are the two sectors who are going to be driving, thanks to 4G and thanks to the e-com boom. I don't know when the bubble is going to burst, if at all, but it will keep blowing further and further in the next 5 years. That's it for me now. Thanks.
Tanmay, could you further elaborate on what is, according to you, the drivers for media growth? And
Okay. Hi, good morning, guys. थोड़ा सा जोर से. Okay. I think both the presenters and Silatri has been. We have been discussing how media is changing. Agree? And where should you guys go? Okay, I come from pure play digital background, last 12 years in digital. And I can tell you every day it's changing. Okay, I'll give you a couple of examples. Who heard of Twitter account called Shallow? Anybody? So MIT set up this account called Ace Shallow. Okay, it's a dummy account. Twitter, it got set up in 2013 in the cost of $68. That's around 5,000 rupees. It has right now 8.2 million followers. And it's a dummy account. Okay. They just bought CloudScore. It's among the top 5 CloudScore Twitter account. So whatever that account says, 8.3 million people sees in a day. Media is changing. Yes. So 3 things, and I'll go a little deeper into digital, and I'll tell you where it is changing in digital. And I3 has been also put on that point. Is mobile is changing, but you know what? Mobile is changing, and mobile is not changing in terms of just the way people consume content. It's changing mostly paramountly because people need information at their fingerprint and they can get it then and there. You need to buy something, you need to find a place to stay, you need to travel right now, you can do it then and there. You are not thinking over your decisions. So the decisions are faster. Agree? The second thing is platforms changing. Facebook, Twitter, Uber, all of them came out. None of them came up with a need from people, but mostly from they saw how trends happen in the world. And most of them define the way we are built into. difference between India and China, and most of the time we talk in global conferences, this one, is that in India, Google is Google and Facebook is Facebook, which is number one worldwide. But that's not in China mostly. If you see Baidu and all the social search networks and all that in China, they're completely different from how we Indians perceive and use content. So if you look at Indian market, look at how global trends are changing, how you need to step up to that. And third is something I think Amit was talking about, is single customer journey. Most of the time, media guys and especially all of us forget, and I'll hold myself to that, forget that how consumers' data come into us and how we interpret this defines the media industry. Most of you heard of Adobe? Guys, anybody? Yes. Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, all of these guys you must have heard of. You know what the biggest problem is? They all built on in an era when desktop used to be number one. Agree? And most of us then forgot that people will use mobile, which is not the same device. So any given time, where India, where out of 260 million people on internet, about 70% is in mobile, we still don't know what their behavior at any given moment is. Who consumes which content in the mobile and go back home and check it in desktop. So that's changing. All the companies, technology companies or data companies are trying now to find out people's behavior, and one of them is Facebook, because all 150 million people in mobile has a Facebook account. We're trying to find out and try to understand in a single point consumer journey, how do we bring data. These are the three things inside digital is what changing. All the trends, all the things that you're looking at, what's shaping up is not just happening in macro media behavior, also in micro, quite largely. So choosing a career is going to be pretty difficult in 3 years' time. Thanks. Yeah.
Anil, I guess now from, as both Atrey and Tanmay were talking about, perhaps now we can talk, you would perhaps throw some light on the media owners and the content creator side of the business, and, perhaps take from where do you think the business is growing?
Thanks, Pooja. Just to take people on from the background perspective, if you look at the numbers which Amit was talking about, the ADEX numbers, the revenue numbers, we are sitting at 40,000 crores. 40,000 crores, 40% of that is print, still predominantly print, close to 40%, 38% is television. The trend is changing. Print used to be close to 50% 3-4 years back. TV used to be close to the same number, 38-40%, but the number which has come up very, very strongly is digital. It's I think close to 8 to 10% right now as we speak, and it's continuously growing. But is it alarming? I don't think so. From a traditional media point of view, it's good because the markets are expanding. In a place like India, if this was the United States, it would have been very scary. But this is India, wherein at any given point of time, a lot of things are happening. Firstly, literacy rates are going to go up better and better. So you would have more and more people accessing newspapers, magazines, news through digital, right? There is going to be, I think, in the next few years, because of 4G, connectivity right up to the rural levels, which will then scale up digital. But at the same time, when digital gets scaled up, it also helps traditional media. How? And this is just theory, and we can discuss and debate on this. When a consumer who's right now untapped, which you spoke about, that 1/3 is untapped, he is getting exposed to A media, chances are B and C media also come into play at some point of time. Which means what's going to happen from a traditional media perspective is you'll have more and more newer editions of newspapers getting launched in smaller towns, which has already happened. If you look at the large Hindi newspapers, how are they growing? They are growing because of reach in smaller tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, towns. I wouldn't call them towns anymore, cities, because, and that from a market perspective, from an advertising perspective, are very, very important markets for FMCG. And from FMCG client perspective, these markets are right now tapped through television, and Doordarshan is one of them, which gets a lot of revenue. But slowly, that money is also now coming into the regional newspapers. So that's one big change which is happening from a traditional media perspective. Secondly, if you're looking at the, now I'm going to come to the other side of the scale, which is the cities. A person sitting in most of the 5 metros is overexposed to media. He or she is at any given point of time spending hardly any time on newspaper, magazines, consuming media on the move, which is digital on the move, which Tanmay spoke about, the mobile being a very, very important player. Having said that, how are media owners tackling this issue? It's only through experiential. Experiential platforms are created by media owners to tackle this smaller community, but very, very affluent community. Just to give you an example, I'm sure everybody must be knowing about wine and cheese events, which a lot of brands do right now. I'm talking about media owners as well. But now that's taken, we have taken it to the next level. So you get in a Michelin star chef from US or from Europe, create a experience of 50 to 100 people, a smaller, tighter group. But those are the people who are the ones who have lots of money, and brands are interested in targeting those as well. So there is money. How you get money out of brands is for the media owners. The other part which I think is, which is already spoken about, is content. Finally, media, the content is king. We all know that. What sort of content gets into what form of media is decided by media owners, and if they get that act right, I think the growth is there right now. Right now, most of the content is freely available. But that trend in the next few years is also going to change, because, content cannot be free. Somewhere down the line, people will have to start paying for content as well. Yeah, you will have your Googles of the world which will give you generic content, but if you're looking at specific content requirement, that will be charged in the next few years. So that is another revenue stream which media owners are looking at. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Anil. So, in fact, talking about what you were just talking, and I was reading a few articles a couple of days back, and they talked about exactly this fact that today, there was a point in time where some time back, you would pay to, have a video cassette, an audio cassette, a CD, or you would buy, music over iTunes and so on and so forth. The point is that earlier when you were paying money to have access to own content, now you will eventually start paying to have access to content. That kind of trend is changing. But having said that, still in India, if you look at, the way the media businesses are functioning, we are all experimenting with e-editions of our newspapers. We're experimenting with online channels of, of the TV content. And yet we still perhaps haven't been able to figure that magic mantra which kind of helps us make money or, have a break-even point with these businesses. While our traditional businesses still continue to play, we haven't yet perhaps reached a point where we learn to monetize from these businesses. What would you think, would take to get money out of these businesses in India?
I'd like to take this question. First of all, I would like to start answering this by saying traditional media planning approaches time, not traditional media. So traditional media is big, and in the next 5 years, I see it continuing to be as big, but the way agencies would be using it will be different. In my view, when it comes to digital, it is going to be largely video content which is going to be the dominant factor. Online TV is going to lead. Say for example, 60 to 70% of the digital budget of a client is going to be on online TV, which is going to be largely funded from TV. More likely from the niche English channels, etc., where it's going to be funded from. When it comes to the other IMC, so to say, when digital IMC, which will encompass other websites and social, etc., and a digital program is going to be funded, it's just going to be money is going to come out from print. So money will be shaved off from the big daddies. They are having 40% each kind of a share of ADEX. So IMCs from print, online TV from TV, that's where the funding will come from. But most importantly, building on the thought which Anil shared about the launch of Hindi publications and going deeper into the smaller towns and rural. Yes, I see a lot of potential growth of ADEX coming for the mass equities, driving reach through vernaculars and for smaller towns and rural, which will shrink. ADEX will shrink from the metros when it comes to English titles. All your Times of India's, I don't want to name specifics, but the big English titles might see a decline, not that they will be dead, but there might be a decline because the top end of the population is going to be now reached with digital. Because there is already 40% penetration of digital in the urban sector, and it's like over 80% when it comes to the top end. So I can reach much cost efficiently, much more engaging way with digital. So money will shift from print to that. But when it comes to the smaller towns and the mass population, digital is yet to make a mark. It is growing fast. So print definitely will grow up, and as more titles are launched to cater to people, the crisis will continue to be on creative front, because digital is growing fast, but the creative people, the creative mindset is yet stuck with a 30-second TVC, a KV-led banner ad. It is not engaging enough. There are some people who are being able to break that and think innovatively, but if you look at, in general, the talent pool which is available in the agency, it is a struggle. The older mindset and the younger mindset, there is a big conflict, and if the creative is not good, the media is not going to produce higher ROI. There will be resistance from the advertisers to shell out money, because they are not going to see the media driving their ultimate business. And even when the clients are evaluating creative, their mindset is old-fashioned, because they are used to evaluating a print like in this fashion, a 30-second TVC in that fashion. So the evaluation matrix, even at the client end, need to be much more updated to appreciate what the digital media has to offer when it comes to creativity. So I think by and large, this is the way I would like to answer your question.
So really is the fact that, and the way we are seeing with all this, in fact, the other day also we were talking about how the skip button is becoming very important in our life. So this whole business of interrupt and advertise is sort of, moving on. So, and we've been talking about how content is becoming more and more important. So then what do you think is the new wave of, and you talked about the fact, that the 30-second or the 240 square centimeter is not going to be the future. Then what is the future? How do we, take our brand message to the consumers then? And what do you think are the matrices then that kind of come into play?
I'll take that one. Okay. Pretty interesting, Gayatri, and I think you nailed the issue saying that people have a skip button. We actually call it something called scannable content. Okay. People have milliseconds to look at a page or a content, and they need to scan that content to understand what brand is saying. And that's going to grow year on year. I saw a recent Google study, and it said that regional content went up by 95%. Hindi language last 1 year, pages and content consumed went up by 95%. Actually, that's pretty small compared to the whole market that exists, but still growing very fast. Number one. And second thing, a lot of you use Gaana and Saban. Yeah? Just not from a content point of view saying that have brand message. Look at how brands integrate to the streaming music business now. How people integrate their brands, integrate their communication inside these applications. That's becoming pretty native. Okay. So most of the time, brand will look at people who want to consume certain type of content, and how that is consumed by the people who want that content is going to be first metrics that will, and that will be the single most important currency that how medias will be measured. It's not going to be digital or online, mainline or ATL media. Number one. Number two, a lot of content companies like Anil was focusing on are going to see differentiation between on-demand content and free content. You have Hotstar. A lot of you guys have Sony Live, yeah. So on-demand content till now, which is mostly free in India, and we have tried several times, multiple companies failing to monetize that content, are seeing some type of revival with Apple Music coming in, Guvera coming in, Ghana making it premium services. That's becoming on premium content because almost 17% of Indians have a streaming app which is paid for in their market, in their device. Okay. So that's going to be the revenue generation that what content providers will look at. What brands will look at from agency point of view, and mostly that is mostly from agency point of view, is that do we have enough data to create and co-create content as a brand with our user? Agree? Because if we don't know what our consumer is doing, it will be a Facebook page with a lot of content which nobody reads, or an advertisement which nobody shares. That's going to be the change of the.
Just to build on that, currently you are doing statistics. It's basis some sample you are trying to predict what the masses are doing, right? The industry is moving towards big data. What is that? It doesn't mean reams and reams of data. It means huge amount of data backed with intelligence so that it's not sample to predict the universe, but knowing the universe. And from there is emerging something like programmatic buying. So when he was talking about what is the content that is working, I would talk about programmatic buying, where I mentioned the KOPCA model, where it is create, optimize, promote. That optimization will happen basis the programmatic buying, which basically means whatever you are doing digitally, without a name to you and you are from SIMC, etc., you are being tracked. So if you are a person who has a Facebook account, you are going to this site, you are searching this, you are reading this blog, everything without a name or a face to it is getting tracked. So through programmatic buying, I can exactly know which is the target audience I want to reach. You are in this age group, you are interested in beauty products, you read or follow this kind of beauty bloggers, I want to promote my beauty product to you. So when it comes to content, which content is lying idle, which content is having more visibility and more traction, and I optimize my content plans according to that and reach out to my audience.
Atri, thanks. In fact, this is something that we were also discussing the other day about how big data is, coming. It's like the data companies are almost becoming the media and branding companies, so on and so forth. And you know how you talk about the fact that wherever we go, either the online world or the offline world, we are kind of leaving traces behind, which Amit was also earlier talking about, how we keep giving feedbacks, and today we are not, skeptical about leaving behind our information. We keep leaving behind information, we provide feedbacks, and then online as we move from one website or one platform to the other, we're all leaving traces. But another trend that brings us is, how much data is too much then? Are we in a world of too much data that we don't know what to do with? So, you want to take that or you want to take that?
I think one of the points, sorry, I'm going back on my earlier thing which I missed out on, is the way digital is growing is also backed up by technology, right? Which is very, very important. One of the things which you missed out is radio, for example. Now, radio right now may be a small, very, very small percentage of the total ad pie, but with new licenses coming in, with new players coming in, hopefully that will also add my point is that 40,000 crores which you're talking about need not grow linear. It has to grow up exponentially faster, and it can go faster through various options which we discussed, through growth of digital, through radio, through regional media. Again, I'm emphasizing on regional media because Atri, the point of regional media or digital eating into the metros, sort of revenues of English newspapers or English reading people, can be tackled with the experiential part which the traditional media will offer. When I speak about experiential, the revenue streams, it may not be ATL, finally it could be BTL, but the whole point is there is money lying with brands, and if there is an opportunity for brands to get the right target audience in the English speaking belt, I'm sure they will don't mind spending higher numbers. Coming back to the pricing right now in India, you're talking about CPMs so low in digital. I mean, we also have an international title which called Harvard Business Review, and I hear their CPMs in the United States. It's crazy. It's unaffordable or unthinkable for an Indian brand to look at those rates. Why? Because media in India has been considered to be discounted always.
And one would think that the front page on the Times of India was very expensive.
Anil, I have a different perspective to what you said. Pardon me for contradicting one of the points that you mentioned, which is on radio. Radio is currently around 4% of the addict share. In the next 5 years, despite the licensing happening and their penetration growing, I do not see it growing in leaps and bounds. Two reasons for that. Rather, I actually see either it will be stable at 4% or get lower at 3.5 in the next few years to go. Two reasons. One, mobile radio is the one which is going to drive. The old transistor format of listening to radio is, I think, already dead, except for people who listen to radio in the car. So it is mobile radio. However, there are illegal chips which are available in small towns and rural in a big time, which cost only 50 rupees, and you get 200 songs, movies, and porn. So if you have the latest of songs, you own it, not where you access it. Coming to Pooja's point, you are owning a chip of 50 rupees with 200 songs and movies and porn. Why will you actually use your data speed to listen to mobile radio? Still, if somebody does, the metro audience, etc., they will be doing it on mobile, not the transistor.
But that's piracy.
It is not about being ethical. Here we are discussing what consumers are doing. So let's appreciate the consumer dynamics. If their digitized version is piracy, it is going to, currently it's just peaking up. It's here to stay. Maybe it will take another 10 years for that piracy to go away, but let's realize it is there and a threat to radio industry. Second, with DTH penetration, TV is here, it was there at a 38-40. As per our estimate, it is over 40% share of addicts currently, and will grow at a minimum of 12 to 15% for the next few years. It is not a media to decline. So while it's going to grow, it's thanks to DTH. It's going to garner more and more new headcounts and penetrate into this 30% media dark people because of DTH. So when DTH is penetrating and they have access to audiovisual content, the rural media dark people who are currently having nothing but than a mobile radio or basic radio will switch, and that has happened. Currently, radio penetration in the country is around 6 to 7%. Only in 4 major metros, the penetration figure of radio is in double digit, low double digit, while in rest of the places it's in single digit. So I'm sorry, I have a different perspective to that.
Well, the point is, my belief is, all medias will work cohesively towards the growth of building up the addicts from 40,000 crores to 50,000 crores to 60,000 crores. The way digital is going to be driven by technology, I'm sure there will be ways and means how the others look at it. Like newspapers have found their way. So have the, I would say, Unfortunately, radio is governed by certain rules and regulation, hence they have not been able to uh, uh, make the necessary growth numbers in the last few years. But I'm sure there will be ways and means how. Let's look at the other way. When you talk about content on radio consumption, right now it's predominantly in the, like you spoke about, people traveling in cars, in the metros. In the smaller towns, it's moved away from transistors already. So how do we, as media owners, then get these people back? Okay, will be a big challenge for us, and I'm sure we'll have ways and means of doing that as well in the coming years.
I think one thing that I kind of wish to add to this discussion is perhaps, when we are talking about radio, one thing that I kind of feel what has hampered the growth of addicts in radio especially, and while we talk about the kind of content and the regulation that has been there, there's also what I feel the lack of measurement that we have on radio, because we as media planners or advertisers, and we always look about what is it that's coming back to us, and as long as you don't know what is coming back to you with the lack of measurement for radio, then that kind of makes you wary on where is it that you're putting money. Would you kind of agree, or do you think that if this changes and we have a better radio measurement, would radio grow then?
I don't think so,
How?
because even in the digital world, when we are talking so much of digital, mobile, etc., there is no measurement. The country currently do not have any digital addicts also. You don't even know how much digital budget your competition has. There's no share of voice, share of spends concept. People are still investing on digital. Yes, the pace is slower than what the media actually can offer. The potential is not being reaped fully. So radio is a tried and tested media which is there for years, even before TV came into play. So I don't think currently people need to see data in hand to say whether the media works or not. People know it by now. And when it comes to TV and print, they had been driving awareness and saliency. It will continue to. And the newer age media, I shouldn't say newer age anymore because it's old. No more toddlers, they have started running now, which is digital. It is going to drive the higher order emotional connect when it comes to the image parameters, the association with the brand. I love the brand kind of a statement. That engagement is going to be driven by digital, while the top end awareness and saliency is going to be built by TV and print, like it used to happen in the past. More so TV than print, of course.
I think I mostly agree, but we tested this out in Germany. We tested two products, TV to mobile and radio to mobile. Okay, we could measure through technology who listened to which music channel, how much content he consumed. Same with radio and TV. And we saw when we benchmark, most of the media plans fall apart in such tracking because of the metrics that are used in the mainline versus a digital campaign. Most of the tracking happens in digital formats, saying that how much of my TG or my audience heard the jingle, or how many they saw the 30-second versus a 10-second. But the measurement metrics doesn't change. For most of the important thing is the currency at which you people measure these formats are going to be same. If the content is going to be the same or the interest is going to be same. The whole idea of programmatic and becoming so mainstream now is because of that, because any given time I am not selling a radio spot anymore or to my client, rather I'm selling that, okay, 2% of my audience will be listening to that if the data suggests that. That's the whole idea of the programmatic, and that's how it is changing. Almost 65% of US digital spend this year was on programmatic, and India it is not even 3%. Out of the 10%, out of that 3%. So, so it's not a big number, but given that Google and Facebook are bringing a lot of data back to the system, third-party data, I think all of these new technologies to measure multiple media formats, which were not possible in India till now, will probably solve that.
I'll now take a quick, slight detour and, move out of perhaps addicts, and while that continues to be, the drivers for the business, and we talked about how, you said we're not selling a radio spot or a 30-second or anymore, and what we're selling is a consumer experience that so many consumers will experience your brand. So it is really moving through a seamless consumer journey where the consumer consumes the same brand across the various media that he moves on. Is that what is leading to this other trend that we see about of consolidation and diversification also in the market? So our biggest media brands are moving across the various media that they're seeing. Agencies are so we had a full service agency which kind of broke into multiple silos and then is coming together to back to a full service agency. Is the driver behind that the seamless consumer experience, or is there other business factors that are leading to this consolidation and diversification?
See, from a media house perspective, I think what the media houses are trying to do right now is to get the consumer across any platform. So he may be consuming content the traditional way, he may be getting it through the mobile, when he's in office, through his laptop or what have you. The point is, finally, what media houses are realizing is to serve the right content across various platforms to a consumer is very critical. And that was one point which was missing from most media houses in the last, which has changed in the last couple of years, I would say. People are investing, media houses are investing into building up larger engagements at the digital level. I mean, you look up at any website, any news website, it is very, very, I would say, very, very trendy. It can beat any international websites right now. It is on par with any international website, news website. So I think from a trend perspective, it is obviously following the West. How much of revenue is going to come out of that thing is a question mark. Because you see, finally, as I said earlier also, consumption is freely available. It's absolutely free. May not read the traditional newspaper in the morning, but I can read it in the afternoon free of cost. That has to change. That is the biggest thing which consumers have to realize, which brands have to realize, and people will have to start paying for that content. Most magazines, I'm talking from a magazine perspective, are not freely available. So you have a preview of the first 5 pages, just to give you the cover story, the first 2 pages, that's it. And after that you want to access, you pay the same price as a physical. Right now it's the same price, but going forward, it is going to come down. The reason why it's the same price is people do not want to tamper with or reduce their circulation, which is the physical circulation right now. So digitally, it may go up substantially, but nobody wants to reduce the physical, because finally it's all about readership, which gets measured on the physical, not on the digital. So I think from that perspective, those are one of the trends which have to change, both from the consumer point of view. Once that changes, just to give you a perspective, Time International, you subscribe to the magazine, at a 10% add-on, you get time.com. It doesn't happen in India. Either in a newspaper format, it's absolutely free, or in a magazine format, it is the full price of the magazine. So these are one of the changes which will, so finally the consumer needs to start paying for the content and not expect it free.
Building on what Anil and Pooja threw on stage is taking the point media agencies breaking away from the parent agency, and now there is a sign of again merging back. In my
Especially if I look at Red Fuse, which
Yes.
has picked this up in the last 3 years. So of course.
with Indranidhi here, I have to say I had started my career in JWT, which was a full service agency. And then I saw this breaking away thing happening, and now I'm part of Red Fuse, which is again a WPP's full service agency. In this transition, who has gained is actually the media agency. Because earlier media agency, say if I talk 15 years back, I think Indranidhi you are going to agree, media slides used to be the last few slides after the creative team and the servicing team have presented the whole thing. And the one slide that the client was interested to see is the costing slide. Whatever else we are saying is they have to digest, or they're listening to it. What is the reach? What is the cost? From there to now, because we broke away, we established our own identity that yes, media agency also has something new to offer. There is creative thinking within media, which may not be the creative 30-seconder, but there's a creative way of approaching media. And now, yes, Pooja is absolutely right when she says the merging back of media agency with the creative agency is basically to offer seamless consumer experience, because it is no more of only TV, print, radio kind of a print plan where it can be a costing because you have so much reach and that's it. Now you have to think of a program, an IMC. It's a concept which has to have legs across. The concept has to be media neutral, and how it pans across different media, how you're leveraging the different media. Digital is one word which we are simplifying thing. Digital is not a media. I do not consider digital as a media. It is a behavior. Media is search, social, online TV, a display ad. These are, or mobile. Or mobile is also like a device. What you do within that, whether you're an app or you're watching something, that's the media. Digital is just the way consumers are behaving. So in order to think of a program which is seamless across these multiple touch points, digital by itself equal to some 7 touch points, one has to come together, because creatives in a silo and a media plan in a silo and an idea which is one idea coming from the creative agency, another idea coming from a media agency, you don't have a central point. Who loses? The client. Who loses? The consumers. So agencies are again proposing back to client that the way to go for best effective advertising is to come back together. So I think I've answered you.
You have, but tell me something. So when this thing is happening, and beyond Red Fuse, it is happening all pervasively across the industry. So, we started with a creative agency and a media agency, then we had a PR agency, then we had a digital agency, then it broke and we had an events agency and a search agency, and so on and so forth. And then we are all trying to bring it all back together. This situation of chaos and confusion that we see today, do you think while, it for the consumer or the client, eventually in the long term perhaps, or in the near future it will benefit, does it also have some problems, at least in the current scenario, or in the business, in the way, people are looking at it?
So, and Pooja, look at this way, okay? It's not just vertical integration that is happening, that ATL, PTL and digital coming together. It's happening also out of the box. So you have analytics company getting bought over by media agencies. You have companies like Sapient got over by Places, which is a completely development agency. That's only because most of the agencies started understanding clients need one person to deal with. Client doesn't want 20 people to deal with 20 different thoughts, because client has only one thought: my brand to reach to people. Why should they have to talk to 20 people to do that work? Yes, 20 years, 15 years back, and now only thing that changed is type of specialized agencies. Nothing else has changed, and that's the whole change happening. It's not just in one way saying that all of us will come together and work, but now it's what client wants. Can I buy agency company to give it that solution?
From a media perspective, from a media owner's perspective as well, it actually helps, because when a media owner is talking to a client or to a agency, it makes his or her job much easier, rather than what's happening right now in a lot of cases when the client says, yeah, I have a media agency, I also have a digital media agency, you see. So that makes it even more difficult to offer comprehensive solutions. And performance agencies. So I think if consolidation happens at that level, it will definitely help the media owners as well.
So we've been, talking about consolidation of businesses. Another thing that, as a trend we are currently seeing, especially in India, is this consolidation of the brand thing. So recently, when Viacom bought over the ETV brand, and recently they converted it all to a Colors regional brand, or what, back at home with India Today changing headlines to India Today TV, and it worked for them, right? On the other hand, when you look at let's say a slightly more on the different side, a Star Network, which had its own Star umbrella of things, and then it started bringing in an OK umbrella of things, so with a Life OK and a Movies OK. So there are these two different concepts that we are seeing in the media business with the brands and the brand umbrella. So what is it that's really happening, and what do you think is the future in that sense?
It's a rather very complex answer, but the point is, if you're looking at Headlines Today to India Today was a more a rebranding.
Right.
It's a rebranding of the sorry, entire channel.
Coming to the same brand umbrella.
Right. So it makes it. But if you're looking at, and I shouldn't be talking on behalf of Star, but if the way they have done is they've already reached a plateau to a certain level across all segments. So they are creating one more segment to take on the next rung of GECs. You see, there's GEC1 and GEC2. So GEC1 is obviously they're clean up there. They're number one there. But in the GEC2 segments, I think that's another revenue model for them. Hence, a Life OK or
Which was a Star One anyways, which they kind of
Star One didn't work. She would answer that better, but Star One didn't work.
They wanted to position Star One as the youth channel, but I don't think the content was there to appeal to them to that extent. It did create a niche, but I think Star had the potential and the drive for a bigger business. And if I can just add, yes, Life OK was launched as a second rung GEC channel, but currently it is considered as a first rung GEC channel, because the way it has picked up, it when we talk of Life OK, it is like Star, Z, Colors, Life OK. Often even before we talk of Sony.
So while
So that's the potential, hidden potential which came out. I think that was the right move.
What I was really looking at in this question was, what is it that the brand name and the brand umbrella kind of plays a role in the media space. So while we understand that brands and brand names and brand equities have certain importance in the entire ecosystem, but how does it play a role in the media businesses, and what is it with the media brands is what one was talking about.
If you're looking at, and this is logical, look at Times of India. Started off with the fewer editions, now 40, 60, 70. That's the game plan. So it's umbrella, okay, and extending to more markets under the same umbrella, which is what the Headlines Today to India Today is also about. You have a strong brand like India Today, which is existing, 40 years in doing very, very well. Logical extension. It should have been done much earlier, but it's a logical extension. The digital arm is also India Today itself. So the others take a backseat. You piggyback on the stronger brand. This is what would be the strategy for the reason for us, but for Life OK, well, we'll not talk about it.
We'll skip that portion for classified information. Okay, just one more kind of point that we slightly touched upon but moved out on, and perhaps when we are talking of drivers of growth, we perhaps should even touch about this fact of piracy, of how, and I mean we say that China, Pakistan does not have a music industry because piracy eats away the entire business of it, and even in India we've had a lot of portion of our business getting eaten away due to piracy. It started with, it grew to a point where with digital, because of all the downloads and songs.pk and the torrents and everything, it kind of ate into the revenues. And yet, digital with Ghana and Sawan and everything that you mentioned is perhaps providing the road to perhaps fight piracy. So what is it that you think on that?
Okay, couple of little different view that we have seen mostly in China, now in Korean market. We see this whole transition between how people consume content. Most of the markets, Asian markets, has been traditionally driven by piracy. Agree, completely agree. But that's because they found the content to be costlier than what they can afford at. Okay, so there is one vertical that Australia tried out. With advertisement and without advertisement, the content cost was different. Agree? Same model, Koreans tried out last 4-5 years, and they have seen a significant valuation of the content companies going up. It actually went up. All content companies put together, their valuation went up by almost 70% in 3 years' time. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that Indians, we are deal seekers. Wherever there's a discount, we'd like to go. We are not like to go to Flipkart or Snapdeal or Amazon. We like to go wherever there's discount is. Same way, we go to consume the content which is the cheapest in the method. But it's up to how brands and the content companies to look at is that can they provide that content by taking on the cost through advertisement or certain other processes. Okay, Hotstar, it's only monetized through advertisement. Same way, Ghana has both premium model as well as a premium model. So that's going to change quite dramatically as I see in next 2-3 years. A lot of formats are coming in. What we see, and that will change the way people consume the content, and the cost of the content will change.
So I think we've had a fairly decent discussion. Perhaps now it's time, for a few final words and closing. So you might want to. We will do that in a bit. So we'll just, have a final word, and then we'll take questions from the audience. Yeah. You want to start? Yeah.
Like I said, the big drivers for growth would, from a traditional media perspective, would be looking at regional media. I think that is obviously already happening, and it is just going to get better and better. I think television will also grow. It has to. There's no two ways about it. The one thing which is definitely going to happen is the 0.4% to GDP has to go up to at least 0.6, which the world standard is 0.8 or 0.9. Yeah, and US is 1.2. So if that goes up, so you have 40,000 crores going up to 60,000 crores in the next 2-3 years, will have a big impact across all mediums. I think that is one with Achhe Din hopefully happening soon. I think we should be able to see that as well.
Okay, guys, most of you are first year, and I remember 17 years back I was almost in the same stage. And two things, and I'm not going to get into too much into media because we have covered almost a lot of discussion on that. But the thing that you need to get up every day and survive, which Amit was talking about, is that you are going to see everyday world changing. It's up to you to see what are the things to look at, how to drive yourself, and how to go to work every day or do something that you love doing. And media is one field you generally don't get bored out of, because you see the changes from a third-party perspective. You look at consumers, you look at brands, and have fun with it. That's all about it. Rest, all these numbers will make up.
As freshers coming to our industry, I will only urge you all to think or look beyond the numbers. Numbers were there, will be there. Certain numbers will eventually come, which we are still harping to get. But the one thing which is most important is understanding your consumers. If you keep defining your audience as just a demographic definition, female, 15 to 34, upmarket, living in metros, and leave it to that, you will never be able to connect with. You need to look at their entire purchase journey, their attitude, behavior, lifestyle, and just put yourself into their shoes to understand their mindset, and then design a communication program to talk to them. All other things, now once you know what to say to them, you will be able to naturally figure out which is the best touch point to reach out to them, or to drive your message in the right context, in the right environment. That is going to automatically come in. But what the industry is currently struggling because of this digitization thing and digital reshaping the consumer's purchase journey, we need to look at that from the very bottom. Yesterday, I was there at NM College giving them a lecture on IMC, the TY students. And they asked me, how do I define a consumer purchase journey? Because mine is very different from another person's. Like somebody will search online, buy offline. Another person is going to search offline, buy online. So where is your significant mass? Where you need to be present? Because it is no more a homogeneous set of audience. Once if I have defined my demographic target audience, everyone is similar. That assumption is getting challenged. So we really need to get into a lot of research, and research doesn't mean having a questionnaire and doing a lot of statistics. It's just about observing audience. So as consumers now start observing people, you will get the consumer insight, which is going to help you in the longer run. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think now we can open the floor for questions from the audience.
This is to Ms. Atrey. This is regarding the radio discussion. We were talking about how regional content is growing, and that's one of the major growth drivers. In that case, a lot of regional local advertisers are going to advertise in radio for the benefit of the people. So isn't that a growth driver for the radio industry? Isn't it going to make the radio industry grow?
Definitely, I never said radio industry is going to decline. I said its pace of growth is not going to grow exponentially. It is currently around 8-9% growth rate. It might be a little higher because smaller players will have limited ADEX, but maybe because of regional input, they will be able to write on the back of radio. But to compete with that, digital can also be geo-targeted. The big networks like Star Z, they are coming up with region-specific feed. Say, for example, a Star Plus, you can have a Mumbai feed, the same Star Plus program on the Star Plus channel, but the ads are only customized for Mumbai. So those are yet to pick up into a big scale, but these players can definitely ride on to those. So when you have an option at a low cost to be on an audiovisual media, even they will sooner or later understand and have content which is more appealing than only putting it behind radio.
This is also for rural markets, like very rural markets?
In rural market, I do not see the future of radio so much. It is already 3%, 4% level. It is going to be to an extent mobile radio, but largely piracy is currently, it's a phenomena which is just 1.5 years old. So in the next 5 years, it's not going to die. So that will continue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, there's actually two points I want to bring forward. Ma'am, you talked about measurement in radio, and then you talked about measurement in digital. So my point is, now we have got many of these apps such as TuneIn and the like, wherein the radio are also moving online, and now under current circumstances, you're not we cannot differentiate the content online. So whether the data flowing in is mere a text, or it's just or it's digital radio, it's not allowed. So that's the entire debate about net neutrality as well. So I want to know, how is the measurement going to be happening and the growth measured on the online digital radio specifically?
Sooner, I do not have a specific answer to that question, because measurement in the digital world is still pretty ambiguous. It's only that ComScore which gives us something, and a little bit of iCube or a specific one-time research which gives us some kind of information. But to a lot of that is going to be, from an advertising perspective, be tackled with the help of programmatic buying. So what kind of content you are listening on which station? What is your preference? What is the genre that you prefer? And a person like you who is listening to these kind of content, what is your other online behavior? All that can be tracked. So with the help of programmatic buying, one can reach out to those audience, but having an exact measurement metric to that, I think the industry will take a while to evolve that.
Completely agree. See, all the channels will have their way of looking at how to measure and report. Agree? I look forward to the days that when most of the brands will get up and say that I'll measure metrics which are audience driven, which are not channel driven. That's the only way to look at it. But we are far off from there, really far off.
I think we'll have some of it discussed even further in the next panel, which talks about research in media. So perhaps, we'll have more discussion on that. Next question.
Any more questions?
I think that's about it then. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I would now like to call Professor Dr. Munmun Ghosh to felicitate the guests.